What if sports games stopped trying so hard to be realistic and just allowed themselves to go completely crazy? Today, we are talking about one special game built around exactly this idea, tape to tape. It starts off fairly normal, but a few matches later, hockey has been invaded by occultists, footballers, and upgrades that would never exist in a normal sports game. And somehow all of it fits together perfectly well. Weirdly enough, the best comparison I can make for tape to tape is Vampire Survivors. See, a few years ago, Vampire Survivors took over the gaming world. Simple concept, barely any graphics, it took the chaos of bullet hell games and wrapped it in one of the most compulsive progression loops that you can imagine. Two things that had no business working together whatsoever, and yet the whole world was playing this game. And I think that tape to tape follows the same basic idea. It takes a sport that can be complicated and intimidating, it strips it down to its most important parts, and then builds a completely ridiculous progression system on top of it. And somehow, it works far better than it has any right to. So, picture this. You start the match. It's hockey. Simple controls, two teams, a puck, a goal. Normal enough. 3 matches later, your defender is releasing green toxic farts that repel opposing players. Your forward is ricocheting shots of his own teammates to create new angles. And someone on your team has 100 speed and 0 shot power. Or you can make referee to try to block opponent's shots. By the end of the run, you're not really playing hockey anymore. You're playing something completely unhinged that happens to take place on ice. That's roguelike, and no one has ever put it in sports before. So here's how it actually works. Instead of a season, you go on a run, which is a series of matches, events, and boss fights through multiple stages. Win and you advance, lose and you start over. Along the way, you pick upgrades, weird perks, new players, so every run builds differently and goes somewhere you didn't expect it to go at the beginning. At the start of each run you pick one superstar from 3 random options. They set the direction of your run. You've also got Max Shaggy, your hero, the one character you carry between runs and keep upgrading. Plus you get a handful of weaker players to just fill in your roster. So that's your team. And each player has stats, a special ability slot, and perks. And all of it can go completely off the rails. Spinning Tasmanian Devil moves, throwing your stick at opponents to just drop them, perks that count every goal in the final minute as 2. The builds get honestly insane, and the game is deep enough that you're still finding new combinations after many hours in. And then there are the opponents, and this is where tape to tape gets really freaking creative. Regular opponents have teams. Knights in armor with a fragile prince who, if you give him too much time and space, guarantees a goal. Or mountaineers who throw hooks to yank you across the ice into some weird-ass situations. Each opponent plays a bit differently and forces you to adjust. But the bosses, man. The bosses in tape to tape are something else. You face capitalists who fill an arena with advertisement billboards that block your view right when you're about to score. You play against a team of footballers, players like Lionel Messi, who literally turn the match into a football game, lining up a wall of defenders like it's a free kick. Or you face referees who cheat. They invalidate your first goal in the match, which is kinda a big deal in a match that is played to just 4. And honestly, I don't wanna spoil all of them and all the fun of discovering this game, because there are quite a few of the bosses by now, and discovering them I think is half of the fun. But they are genuinely well designed, they are creative, thematically sharp, and each one changes how you play the match, which is super cool. And the developers are still building this game. There is a campaign 2.0 currently in beta, open to everyone, and it's making the roguelike layer even deeper. Now, the hockey itself. The controls are simple: pass, shoot, body check, special ability, left stick to skate. That's basically it in a nutshell, nothing like the complexity of a modern NHL game. And you know, that's exactly the beauty and the point. Vampire Survivors wasn't successful despite being simple. It was successful because the simplicity cleared the way for everything else to hit harder. And I think Tape to Tape works the same way. The hockey is chassis. The roguelike madness is the engine. I think that if the controls were complicated in Tape to Tape, then the chaos that it generates wouldn't be fun. It would just be overwhelming and complicated. Instead, you always feel in control and understand what you should click right away, even when the game is completely losing its mind around you. So here's where I land on this. Tape to Tape has been in early access since 2023, and there's already plenty of variety, content and replayability here. The developers have also been testing Campaign 2.0, which significantly expands the roguelite side of the game and has continued to receive updates throughout 2026. The full release is still planned for later this year. But what makes Tape to Tape special isn't just the amount of content that it offers. This game proves that sports games don't always need layers of realism, another licensed presentation package, or annual checklist of tiny improvements. Sometimes they just need a solid foundation of the sport and one genuinely fresh idea built around it. Tape to Tape takes hockey, makes it approachable, and then allows it to become completely crazy in the best possible way. It's made by a small team, and plenty of people outside of biggest hockey fans have probably never heard of it. But it's already one of the best roguelites I've ever played and one of the most interesting sports games to recommend, even to people who don't particularly care about hockey. And by the time it fully releases, I think Tape to Tape could become one of those indie games that makes bigger developers wonder why the hell they didn't think of this earlier.